This is real. As the sleepless nights I spent afterwards. I'm 23 now, but that memory still haunts me, like a shadow that never fades. I was 13, maybe 14, when it happened. At that time, skateboarding was my world. My friends Lucas, Miguel, and I would glide through the streets like we owned them. That day, after another afternoon burning the wheels on the asphalt, we decided to stop by the 7-Eleven before heading home. Buy something to drink, maybe a snack, and then continue our way. We bought what we wanted and left. The sun was already beginning to set on the horizon, coloring the sky orange and purple. We walked to the parking lot exit, waiting for the red light to cross the road. That's when I felt it. That look. I turned my face and saw a man standing by the gas pumps. He was about 50 years old, maybe older. Thin hair, a tired face, but the eyes were wrong. Not only were they watching me, they were piercing me, as if they were looking for something inside of me. Then he moved. He dropped the gasoline hose to the ground, and the liquid splashed on the asphalt. He jumped into the white truck and, in one move, turned the ignition key. The engine roared like a beast awakening. And he came toward us. He accelerated straight at us. The world broke around me. I jumped to the side at the last second. The rearview mirror ripped my coat. The impact sent my skateboard flying. Lucas screamed, Miguel cursed, but the man didn't stop. He turned the wheel, the tires screamed on the asphalt, and he drove the truck into the neighboring parking lot, making his way through the small pit that separated the two properties. It was like we were in a nightmare. He didn't just want to scare us. He wanted to catch us. We ran. We crossed the road without looking to the sides, our hearts pounding in our chests, our legs fighting against fear itself. The library was a few blocks away. It was our only hope. But when we were close, I looked back. There it was. The white truck shone under the sunset light, coming toward us, closer and closer, faster and faster. The headlights blinked, blinding us. But the worst wasn't the car. The worst was the smile. Tim and Lucas ran to the library door, but I knew it was closed. So, I veered toward the back, toward the path that cut through the woods. The path led to my backyard. That's when I heard the noise. The tires scraping, the door slamming shut. The man got out of the car. And he didn't come empty-handed. From where I was, I only saw the metallic shine. A shotgun. A crowbar. I didn't know. But I didn't stay to find out. I ran into the woods. The world became a blur of shadows and branches cutting into my skin. But even through the noise of my own footsteps and my heavy breathing, I heard it. His footsteps. Following me. I ran like never before. When I reached my street, my head was spinning, my chest burning. My neighbor, Lucas's father, was in the car. He told me to get in, without asking any questions. He took me to the video store where Lucas's mother worked. There were Miguel and Lucas, and 3 police officers. A minute later, my mom came in. Her eyes were red, filled with panic. Lucas and Miguel told her they didn't know if I was still alive. Tim grabbed my arm and whispered, trembling, "I saw him running behind you. He went into the woods." For a long time, I thought the man was chasing my friends. But the truth is much worse. He wanted me. They never caught him. And since then, every time I see a white truck, I feel those wrong eyes watching me again. And I wonder, is he still looking for me? In those days after the incident, my life was never the same. Nightmares began invading my sleep, distorting what should have been simple and safe. Although the constant presence of my family surrounded me, there was no way to escape the feeling that something or someone was always watching me. My eyes would turn to the street, to the white trucks, to any strange noise. Every step I took, fear followed me. The fear that he was still out there, lurking. But time passed, and as it always does, people began to forget. That night became just another forgotten story, buried under the layers of everyday life. However, for me, there was no forgetting. It was a Friday, more than a year later, when the feeling of panic returned. I was coming home after an afternoon downtown. The sun was setting, and the street was almost empty. The city was silent, except for the sound of my footsteps and the crunch of dry leaves under the cold breeze. When I passed the local supermarket, something froze me. There, at the corner of the street, a white truck was parked. It was as if it was waiting for me. I froze, unable to move. The streetlights illuminated the vehicle, and at that moment, the feeling of being watched became overwhelming. I approached the car, tense, my hands sweating. The truck seemed intact, but the emptiness in my stomach said otherwise. I knew something was wrong. Something was about to happen. I looked toward the street. There wasn't a soul in sight. But suddenly, a sound cut through the silence, a door creaking. I quickly looked at the car, and for a moment, I saw a figure standing at the wheel. The man from the white truck. My heart raced. My body froze, but a voice inside me screamed to run. And I ran. I ran like never before. The sound of my own feet hitting the ground was drowned out by the sound of the truck's engine starting abruptly. That sound, that roar, felt like a direct threat. The truck started moving slowly backward, like a shadow creeping toward its prey. Then, as I turned the corner into the darker street, the light from a broken lamp made the atmosphere even more claustrophobic. That's when I saw, for the first time, his eyes, directly in front of me. He was no longer in the car. He was there, on the street. As if he had emerged from the darkness itself, he appeared. The pale face and empty eyes. "You can't escape from me," he said, his voice harsh and cold, as if made of stone. I took a deep breath, trying to comprehend what was happening. How did he know where I was? How could he still find me? Before I could react, an explosion of light blinded my eyes. The truck's headlights were on, illuminating the street like a big flashlight. He was moving slowly forward, a grotesque smile forming on his lips. "Do you think you managed to hide? Did you think you could escape?" I didn't know what to do. My mind was a whirlwind, trying to remember everything the adults had told me. If he appears again, call the police, ask for help, run. But at that moment, there was no escape. He was too close. I could only stare at those empty eyes and those sharp teeth, which seemed more than a threat. That's when something unexpected happened. From somewhere at the end of the street, a scream echoed, interrupting the deadly silence. The man's figure looked back, confused, for a second, and it was enough for me to do the most impulsive thing in my life. I ran again. However, this time, something was different. The fear wasn't just from being chased. It was the feeling that I was being drawn, like a puppet guided by invisible strings. When I passed through a dark alley, I saw the reflection of a broken window. And there, in the reflection, I saw something that froze my bones. A shadow on the alley wall, stretching as if it were part of the same man, following my every move, every breath. I was being watched by something much older, something that didn't care about time. He wasn't just a stalker. He was a presence that transcended space, creeping into my soul, into my being. And in that moment, I knew for sure. He didn't just want to catch me. He wanted to possess me. Reality seemed to crumble, and the line between what was real and what was a nightmare became unrecognizable. I needed to get out of there. I needed to run, but I didn't know where to. The city, the street, the trees, everything seemed like an endless maze. Until, at the end of the street, I saw something that gave me a spark of hope. The library, the place where I had run during the first attack. The building was still there, but as I ran toward it, I realized something horrible. The doors were locked. But not just locked. They were locked with a key. When I looked to the side, The white truck appeared again, this time at the corner, like a beast ready to devour everything in its path. That's when I heard Lucas's voice. He was on the street, his eyes wide with fear. He shouted for me to run, but not just that. He seemed to know more, as if he had already lived this before. "Tim, it will never stop." And, for a moment, I understood. The man wasn't just a person. He was a shadow, something that fed on our fears, something that would never stop hunting us. I was already lost. The man in the white truck, the shadow that chases us, isn't something that can be explained with logic or reason. He is the personification of our deepest fears, something that goes beyond time and reality. Many try to escape, but he always finds a way to reach us, to stare at us with those empty eyes, without compassion. What he wants, no one knows for sure. Maybe it's our soul, maybe our sanity. What's certain is that he will never stop. At every corner, with every step, he's closer, waiting for the opportunity to catch us. And as night falls over the city and the streets grow darker, we wonder, is he watching us now? If you ever encounter a white truck, or feel that chill in the air, run. Don't look back. Because, as Lucas said, it will never stop. Stay alert, stay safe, and never ignore what's around you.